Have you ever noticed that some of the funniest Friends episodes are the ones where absolutely nothing goes according to plan? Because this collection of moments is pure chaos from beginning to end. From Joey's legendary food obsession, to Monica completely losing her mind over Thanksgiving dinner, to Ross failing miserably at flirting, this honestly feels like peak Friends comedy. And somehow, every single scene gets more ridiculous than the last. The episode kicks off with one of the funniest Joey moments ever. Joey is sitting alone at a fancy restaurant for his birthday. Now normally, birthdays are supposed to be full of friends, family, celebration, but Joey? He's sitting there completely alone. And honestly, the waiter looks more uncomfortable than Joey does. The guy even asks, "Are the rest of your party coming back?" And Joey just quietly says, "Nope, just me." That moment is already awkward enough. But then the restaurant staff suddenly starts singing happy birthday to him in the most dramatic way possible. And Joey absolutely loves it. The man looks like he just won an Oscar. This is the best birthday ever. That's honestly why Joey is such a lovable character. The guy can turn even the saddest situation into something hilarious. Meanwhile, Ross and Chandler are having one of their classic relationship debates. Ross is completely convinced Rachel might finally like him romantically. And honestly, Chandler looks like he's listening to someone explain alien conspiracy theories. Ross keeps saying, "She said she's looking for someone exactly like me." And Chandler immediately destroys him by asking, "She actually said exactly like you?" Ross admits he added that part himself, which is the most Ross thing ever. Then Joey joins the conversation and accidentally creates one of the funniest lines in the episode. Ross explains that Rachel spent the whole day taking care of his monkey. And Joey responds, "I can't remember the last time I got a girl to take care of my monkey." The fact that Joey says it so innocently somehow makes it even worse. That's classic Friends humor. Half the jokes sound accidental, which makes them 10 times funnier. Then we get one of the weirdest but funniest Phoebe moments. Someone offers her saltwater taffy, and Phoebe casually says, "My mother was too busy planning her suicide to provide saltwater treats." Only Phoebe Buffay could casually drop the darkest sentence imaginable, and somehow make the entire room uncomfortable and funny at the same time. That's literally her superpower. Then comes one of the greatest Joey storylines ever. Joey doesn't share food. And honestly, this might be the single most accurate description of Joey Tribbiani's personality. The situation starts simple enough. Joey goes on a date with a girl. Everything is going perfectly. Good conversation, nice chemistry, romantic dinner, and then disaster strikes. The girl reaches across the table and takes one of Joey's fries. That's it, one fry. But to Joey, this is basically an act of war. The next day, everyone thinks Joey is overreacting, and Joey tries explaining himself like a man defending national security. It's not about the fries. It's about what the fries represent. Then he screams the legendary line, "Joey doesn't share food." Honestly, that line became iconic because it perfectly explains Joey in one sentence. The man will share his apartment, his clothes, his advice, sometimes even his acting jobs. But food? Absolutely not. Rachel and Phoebe try convincing him he's being ridiculous. So Joey comes up with the most Joey solution ever. He decides next time he'll order extra food specifically as a sharing buffer. And suddenly his order becomes insane. Extra fries, onion rings, shrimp cocktail, buffalo wings, mozzarella sticks, an individual pizza. At that point Chandler looks genuinely concerned for humanity. Then the episode shifts into full Thanksgiving chaos. And honestly, Thanksgiving episodes were always some of Friends' best episodes. Because whenever the group tried celebrating together, everything exploded. This time, Monica is cooking dinner, which already means stress levels are dangerously high. She's trying to make everyone happy. Different potatoes for different people. Special dishes for everyone. Perfect turkey. Perfect dinner. Meanwhile, the rest of the group abandons responsibility entirely because they get distracted by the giant Underdog balloon floating over New York City. And somehow, they accidentally lock themselves out of the apartment. Now Monica slowly realizes Thanksgiving dinner is being destroyed while everyone stands outside arguing about who forgot the keys. And then comes one of the greatest Monica breakdowns in Friends history. I'm making different kinds of potatoes for everybody. Does anybody care what kind of potatoes I want? Courtney Cox absolutely kills this scene, because Monica starts sounding less like a person and more like a pressure cooker about to explode. By the time they finally get back inside, everything is ruined. Turkey burnt, potatoes ruined, dinner destroyed, and Monica completely loses it. Potatoes are ruined. Honestly, only Friends could make ruined potatoes feel like a global catastrophe. But then something beautiful happens. The group stops fighting. They sit together, eat terrible food, laugh at the disaster, and Chandler gives one of the sweetest speeches in the series. He says he's thankful everyone's Thanksgiving plans failed, because otherwise they wouldn't all be together. That moment perfectly explains why Friends became so beloved. Underneath all the jokes, the show was always about chosen family. Then we jump into another hilarious Joey moment involving cheesecake. Joey and Chandler are trying to split dessert equally, but both of them are acting like greedy little children. They literally start measuring crust sizes, arguing over microscopic differences, protecting their slices like national treasure. And Joey eventually warns, "No sharing, no squeeching, and don't come crying to me if you eat your piece too fast." 5 seconds later, Joey finishes his own slice immediately and starts staring at Chandler's cheesecake like a starving wolf. That's honestly Joey in one scene. Zero self-control. Then we get Ross trying to flirt, which is always painful to watch in the funniest possible way. Ross starts talking about gas ovens, then randomly explains that gas is odorless, then keeps talking even after everyone clearly wants him to stop. Watching Ross flirt feels like watching someone accidentally dig their own grave in slow motion. And the worst part? Ross genuinely thinks he's being charming. Then comes another classic Friends food disaster. Rachel and Chandler discover Joey's horrifying rule about sharing food. Even baby Emma isn't allowed to touch Joey's grapes. That's how serious this man is. At this point, the group basically accepts Joey's food obsession as a medical condition. Then the chaos somehow gets even worse when Joey accuses Ross of breaking his refrigerator. And honestly, this might be one of Joey's dumbest plans ever. Joey literally pushes Ross into the fridge, then immediately screams, "You broke my fridge!" The best part is Joey acts completely convinced by his own lie. That's what makes Joey hilarious. He commits to nonsense with absolute confidence. No hesitación. Nos cham. Pure caos. And honestly, that's why Friends still works decades later. The jokes aren't complicated. It's the personalities that make everything funny. Ross is awkward. Monica is controlling. Chandler uses sarcasm to survive. Phoebe is wonderfully insane. Rachel gets dragged into chaos. And Joey? Joey is basically a giant child trapped inside a handsome actor's body. Together, they somehow created one of the funniest sitcom casts ever assembled. Even after all these years, scenes like, "Joey doesn't share food," "Potatoes are ruined," and "You broke my fridge," still feel hilarious. Because great comedy isn't just about jokes. It's about characters feeling real enough that their chaos becomes believable. And honestly, nobody did chaotic friendship better than Friends.